meeting in the foyer.
Hello and welcome, and thank you for meeting me in the foyer once again. You can subscribe to our Patreon for all our shows and specials for much less than $10,000, and for that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. And why should you do that? Well, for starters, you get access to all the brilliant reviews from our critic Linda, who's back from her holiday break, not taken on Amity Island, although Amity means friendships, you know. How are you doing, Linda?
I'm very well, thank you. Really needed that rest, although I didn't really rest that much. I mean, I still worked a bit. Yeah, but it was really lovely and very lucky with the weather. Yeah,
Mm.
really nice break in Cornwall. So
Very
yeah.
nice. Yes, I saw some nice videos and pictures. So
Mm.
you had, you did. You had, well, it was absolutely roasting hot last
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, but you were down
And
by the
yeah,
sea.
we were honestly we were very lucky, very lucky with the weather. So yeah.
You're back
Doesn't
fully refreshed.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen in Cornwall. With Cornwall, be prepared to take clothes for all kind of weather because like it could be hailing one minute and then glorious sunshine the next. So yeah, but
Yeah,
this year was incredible, really incredible
I think
weather.
that's what we've got this week. I'm hoping that next week will return to the sunshine because that's my week off. So
Oh God, that's unlucky.
yeah. So yeah, Linda is back, ready, refreshed to bring us more reviews and her latest prize catches. It's what is it? One film and a series this week, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes. I will start by saying I will not be reviewing Superman because the film, I have not seen it yet. I only came back from my holiday on Sunday. So, and I was away when it was screened to the press. So, unfortunately, and I did beg to be showing it a bit earlier, but it was a no for everyone. So,
Mhm.
unfortunately, I didn't get to see it before I went away on holiday, and I have yet to see it. And I'm sure I'm going to love it, but I have yet to see it. I think I'll see it tomorrow.
No
Yeah.
problem. It will actually pop up in the news later in the show, so not to worry. So yeah, this week it's a series and a film. Let's find out what Linda's got hooked on her line this week. And we'll reel in that 25 footer and perform some kind of half-assed autopsy on it. So, what are you going to start with, Linda?
Right, I'm going to start with this fabulous new Netflix series written and produced, I believe, also produced by, executive produced by Lena Dunham
Right.
of Girls fame. One of my favorite writers. I think she is genuinely, I mean, people say very ironically in the series Girls, she says it herself that she's the voice of her generation, and she genuinely was the voice of her generation that time, and she has grown. And I think if you rewatch Girls again, and I think it came in for a ton of criticism when it was airing on HBO all those years ago for it being a bit too New York, a bit too pleased with itself. But I just thought it was one of the most authentic series about a group of sort of middle class friends in New York, sort of learning how to deal with each other, how to interact with each other, how to grow. And I just absolutely love Lena Dunham's writing. I think it's just honest, pure, beautiful, and she's often very much criticized about being too open about her own life. And she wrote this memoir which became a bit of a sort of a sore point in her career, where she was accused of being a bit too open, a bit too honest about her life and her growing up in New York to this upper middle class family. But for me, Lena Dunham can't do anything wrong. I just absolutely adore that woman. I think she's a fantastic writer, and she really captured the feel of what it's like to live in New York as a young woman. It's forget Sex in the City, forget everything else that came before it. I just think for she was the voice of a millennial woman, really. And I remember getting into all sorts of scraps with friends around that time who didn't think much of her and didn't think much of girls, saw it as a bit too white, saw it as a, why does this group of friends only have white friends? But that, I just think if she hadn't been so honest and just put in other characters that weren't really in her immediate vicinity, or like people that she would know, she would have been criticized for being for sort of checking, but like putting checks next to whatever sort of she's been asked to do. I just think I I still maintain that that is one of the best series about young women in New York that has ever been written. And I'm not here to review that. What I'm reviewing is the follow-up to that.
Jess, something has shifted with you.
Jess? Hi, how are you?
Girl, are you good?
You're unhappy.
Leaving me is the worst thing that anyone's ever done!
Change your life. Go to London.
Seriously?
You love London. You saw Spice World 9 times in the theater.
I could do it. I could go and find my English dream. You know, estate grounds, verdant gardens.
Good luck with that, love.
Oh my god, I'm in hell. You're the singing guy.
I'm Felix, by the way. You've got like an American accent, right? Let me guess, you like one of those Love Actually girls.
This is the London I came here for. Like out of a movie.
Yeah, horror movie. These people are full of pent-up rage and dark secrets.
I know, but look, it's a yellow house. You're not charmed by me? I don't know if I'm getting like 50 UTIs a year or it's like one long UTI.
That is a really needy question.
Boy, you want a scone, Gabna?
Yeah, right. So that is the most annoying genre of American humor.
I came here to find myself. A lot of stuff went down in New York. My ex-boyfriend is living with another woman right now.
Oh my god!
Do you want me to murder them?
Yeah, I want you to cut their heads off and sew them back on.
Looking in the big blue eyes.
Is he who he says he is? This has all just been a series of red flags. You think you're so special.
I get that it's hard for you, but like it's hard for fucking everyone, okay?
I wanted to be in bed with like Hugh Grant from the British Jones Diaries.
Did you say British Jones?
Now there's
Diary?
4 of them.
Yeah, it's not called British Jones.
She's British!
You are cracking my heart open with that brave ability to love.
Yes, actually,
I have a very chaotic mind.
Maybe I choose chaos. Oh my god!
If you spruce yourself up a little, you can make it with him
Once you hook up with him, why don't you go suck him off? See if you can get him to come.
any day.
Ew!
So erotic.
So the follow-up to that, this is actually a series that is more, I'd say, autobiographic than Girls. Girls had like kind of heightened sort of, is Hannah really Lena, or is it someone that she's kind of an amalgamation of several characters that she's encountered in her life? This is very, very much close to her own experiences. So Lena Dunham has written this with her husband, Louis Felber, who is also known as Atahualpa, who's in a band. He's British, and he's in this fantastic sort of band. He's kind of, I think he comes from an aristocratic British family, but also his mother is South American, and so there's a really good mixture of sort of his music is heavily used on in this, and the story tells actually their story of how they met. Not very close. I mean, there's lots of like artistic freedom, and the character that played by who's supposed to be Lena here is played by Megan Stoller, and Megan Stoller, sorry, plays Jessica, and Will Sharp plays Felix, who is supposed to be Louis Felber, the husband character. And so after a really painful breakup, and it's safe to say that this is based on Lena Dunham's very own, very public breakup with a very famous writer, musician, writer, and someone who worked very closely with Taylor Swift and very famous. I don't really want to sort of mention him because she doesn't mention him, and it's like kept sort of very kind of like a hint. It's hinted at. So this very a painful breakup that she goes through, and she decides that she wants to she's sent by this company that she's working for, it's a production company, of the film production company, or but what she does is she directs adverts and so on. She's sent to London to their, and she finds herself living in Hoxton, what she's been dreaming about, England as being this kind of Jane Austenish kind of place, or sort of romantic, but she finds herself in Hoxton, surrounded by living in pretty much a glorified council estate, really, and meets Will Sharp's character Felix, who is a musician, and things happen. And I think I can't remember how many episodes there are. I have only seen, I think, a couple because I got sent the screeners for it a while ago. I am going to carry on watching it because I absolutely love this. This still does have all of the Lena Dunham stuff, all the stuff that you loved in Girls, I don't know if you were a fan, but like I know that many people do, like so many millennials are really, really love Girls, and there are sort of people who admit to rewatching and rewatching and rewatching. I mean, I think I was even a bit too old for that, but I just thought it was just so written so honestly. This has a slightly more comedic twist to it, a bit more, how shall I say, a sort of uh, more whimsy to it. And Girls didn't have so much whimsy. It was very honest and very sort of like very New York and very like a dry humor. This has a little bit more whimsy, but at the same, all of the things we loved about Lena Dunham's writing in Girls is here. All the stuff, all the brilliant sort of observations, all the stuff, the philosophical outlook of her now as a 40-something woman. I think she's 40-something, if I'm not mistaken, as someone who's moved from this big city into a different big city that she knows almost nothing about. Just very brilliantly done, and I loved it. I loved every single minute of the two episodes that I watched, and I'm really looking forward to watching more. And if you're not a Lena Dunham fan, I don't want to hear it. Do not want to, it's none of my business. You carry on with your hate train. I'll carry on with my love train, and I just love her. I think she's what I'd like to see her do. She did a feature, which I can't remember the name of right now. I think it's, oh, someone could remind me. This is where I need someone to do some research for me live. I can't remember what the feature. She did a feature a while ago that was very close to Girls, but I would like to see her make more features, like movies, really, because I just think she's a fantastic screenwriter, and a fantastic sort of a rom-com screenwriter, which we don't get anymore. Like I look forward to seeing her do something like this, something really big. Yeah, I really like this, and I'm looking forward to finishing it.
Fantastic. I mean, I have to admit, the only place my path has crossed with Lena Dunham is her cameo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's the only thing I've seen of her, other than her appearance on Travel Man with Richard Ayoade.
Let me say people don't realize how important Girls was, because it launched the career of Christopher Abbott, of Adam Driver, of a number of people like Lena Dunham, obviously, like so many people who are now like a staple in Hollywood. And that series really was brilliantly written, and the casting in that series was just incredible. There's I found it a little bit sad because I really like her acting as well. So she isn't in the movie. She is in a series, but she plays the sister of Jessica very early on in first episode. I don't know if there is a recurring sort of role for her, because as I say, I only watched two episodes, but I just thought it was so well done, and I'd like to see more of Lena, because I just think she's a fantastic actress as well as a writer.
Yeah. One of the series I've watched quite a lot, well, I watched all of it, and I realise now that Girls probably opened the door for it, was Broad City. That
Oh
was
yeah,
a series I
yeah.
really enjoyed. The sort of another story of women living in New York. But it's only now that you review this that I realised that it was probably, you wouldn't have had that series without Girls coming along.
And what was exciting about Girls was the sort of the honesty with like the relationship between people, and specifically, I mean, like there was sort of the bickering between best friends, and when you watch films about friendships, or series about friendships, usually like it's all very kind of like it's very steady. The friendship is very steady. The friendship is always sort of, oh well, you can rely on me and this and that. With Girls is like it's a lot of ups and downs, and lots of sort of stealing boyfriends, and sort of doing really awful things to people who you're supposed to really love, who are supposed to sort of really respect. And I think that's what friendships are. I think that's what growing up and knowing how to interact with people is. And I think she really captured it. And I think that's genius for someone so young. She was quite young when she started writing Girls. And, it was made out of, I mean, she worked with, why can't I think of him? Judd Apatow. So so it was Judd Apatow really who encouraged her to do all this stuff, because obviously he'd come across a treatment of the series and decided this is brilliant, and anyway. That's it.
I mean, I've only seen the trailer for this series too much, and maybe I'm just going route one because they do actually reference it in the trailer, but it does feel like a sort of Bridget Jones for the millennials generation sort of thing. It's but,
well, it's more like it actually makes fun of her assumptions about London. In her head, she was going to London to live her Bridget Jones life, to live her her Jane Austen life, sort of this romantic thing about Mr. Darcy and this and that. But then she found herself sort of in this like really horrible, scummy pub where the toilet is disgusting, where there's no toilet paper, and she's having to interact with loads of drunk people, and like I just find that very sort of amusing, and she's like a real fish out of water, not just like in a very sort of honest way as well. So yeah, and I as I mentioned, her husband, who is the also producer, and there are ideas from him. He also made the music for this, and it's fantastic, and it's really well done. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's one option if you don't fancy heading out this week and staying home and catching something on your own TV screens. So why don't we look at the box office top 10 of what you could catch if you were leaving your house and risking being eviscerated by the heat on the streets and heading down to the cinema, where they've got far better air conditioning than certainly I have at home. So the box office top 10 as we record, when I did this bit of research earlier today, I was delighted and stunned to see at number 10 The Ballad of Wallace Island remains in the top 10.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 7 weeks on release. It's made 1.8 million now, which is fantastic for a film of that size.
Tiny movie, tiny production.
Yeah, and propping up a bit more of a behemoth that still remains in the top 10, that slipped to 9 now, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. 8 weeks of release, 26 million at the UK box office, which sounds a big number, but it's not enough.
What's it made globally so far?
Good question. I do not know the answers to that one. So you tapping away.
Let's see. Okay, hang on. So it's taken so far. The budget was almost 400 million, and it's taken 584. It's not made a lot of money. It's made 84. That is, to me, I mean, it will sort of make more once it's on streaming and whatnot. But that is by any. If it was a smaller budget, you'd call that a win, but that's not a win, unfortunately.
So that's 500 million from 8 weeks. Remember that figure as we climb the chart and come back to it in the news. At 8,
584. It's almost 600.
Okay.
It's made 200.
8, Sardar G3, a Hindi film which has spent 3 weeks on release and has made £600,000. At 7, Lilo and Stitch in its 8th week, 36 million already at the UK box office, so it's way past Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Our favourite Elio, it's been out for a month now, 3.4 million, which is not really great for a Pixar, but as you said in previous weeks, that'll certainly pick up once it gets home release.
Yeah, definitely.
At number 5, Danny Boyle's post-apocalyptic horror 20 Years Later has been out for a month now and already made nearly £14 million. At 4, How to Train Your Dragon, 5 weeks on the charts now, £19 million. As you'll see, this week I've become slightly obsessed with box office takings.
I know, it's important.
And into the top 3, F1 has been out for 3 weeks now. Slipped to 3, but still doing well. It's taken just under £16 million. And reviewed by Linda just the other week. Jurassic World Rebirth, in its 2nd week on release, it's taken £19 million. So that's
That's very good.
Huge success.
And who cares about reviews? The reviews were top critics gave it. I'm talking Rotten Tomatoes, and top critics gave it really warm reviews. I am part of that group of people. Very warm reviews, 4 stars, 5 stars. And then there's been sort of some people who absolutely hated it, like 2 stars, 3 stars, which is bizarre because it's a really entertaining movie. Yes, the script is not very challenging. It doesn't challenge itself, but I just thought it was so well done. I enjoyed it. I was not bored for 1 second. Very predictable, but then there is satisfaction, predictability, in my opinion, when you're dealing with these kind of movies. I don't see any problem with that, really.
No, not at all. It's strange. As you say, there's almost been, for every good review, there's been a bad review, and it's sort of 50-50. You've got to go and make up your own mind at the end of the day.
And people are going to see it, and they're loving it. So
yeah. But at number 1, it's already been taken over by another behemoth of the summer. Superman, in its 1st week of release, has made £7 million at the UK box office already, and
that's just 3-4 days. That's it's Friday.
That's right.
Superman. The most powerful being on planet Earth. We finally meet. Now, as planned, I'll destroy you.
And of course, that reporter you always do interviews with. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
No matter what you do to me, Luther, your plans won't work.
Wrap it up.
Good luck with that.
Make a move, Big Blue.
Buckle up.
They chose him. Let them die.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
And we'll come back to that later on in the news. So that's our box office top 10 this week. Now, we're going to review an actual film now, aren't you, Linda?
Yeah, let's do another movie because this I only literally just saw this morning and I knew absolutely nothing about it. Like genuinely knew nothing about it. Didn't even know where it had opened, where it what year it opened. It felt to me like a Sundance movie, but no, it did open at Toronto, which is like one of the biggest film festivals of the whole circuit. So I'm like, as I say, didn't know anything about it. I went in completely blind. This was produced by A24 and is being released in the UK by Paramount, and Paramount also have another movie coming out this week, which I expect to be doing really well, which is the new Smurfs movie. Let's talk about this one, which is really the kind of movie that I dream of. You know, if you ever were a fan of Office Space all those years ago,
Oh, love that.
absolutely love that movie. This really, really reminded me of that. And not the context, you know, it's not like there are bits of it where the main character is having to deal with work issues and stuff, but it just had that kind of like really sort of a man grappling with existential dread and attempting to sort of get out of his own sort of problems by the film stars Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson.
And what's the film called, Linda?
Oh, sorry, I didn't say. Sorry, Friendship.
Oh, man, that's Jerry. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Ah. This is my dream car.
I hope you get it one day. This thing is absolutely cherry.
Friendship is a disastrously awkward bromance.
Really excited about it.
The funniest thing I've seen in my entire life.
You just gave me goosebumps.
An instant classic.
My whole body was vibrating.
It's I Love You Man for sickos.
Whoa, buddy. This is insane.
I don't wish to continue this friendship at the moment.
Friendship. Get tickets now. Bring a pal.
The movie is called Friendship, and it's directed by Andrew DeYoung. And so the movie it's sort of being publicized as being a black comedy. I just think it's an outright comedy, in my opinion. It's fantastically done, fantastically written, and it's it is a directorial debut as well. So even more impressive. It is executive produced by Paul Rudd, although I also think he might be even more involved in that. I think he also might have produced it, like outright produced it. And so Paul Rudd isn't our main character. He plays Austin, who is the neighbor. So Tim Robinson, fantastic actor, is married to Tim. Is Craig Waterman, and a kind of a schlubby guy, but schlubby, but then also not actually. I want to say, forget you heard the word schlubby, because he's not schlubby in the least. He's more very boring. He's a nerd. He's a 40-something married man who dresses how you would expect him to dress. He's in these hush puppies. All of his clothes come from the same place. He's a salary man, but at the same time, he's someone who is in this relationship with Tammy, who's just survived a bout of cancer. She's played by Kate Mara, who we all love. And he's at a standstill in his life. So his wife is extremely bored of him. He still wants to be in this relationship. He loves his wife, and loves his life with her, but she's kind of gone a bit sort of sour on the whole thing. Paul Rudd's character, Austin Carmichael, this really sort of showy guy, moves next door, well, or across the road from Tammy and Craig, and but Craig befriends him, or the other way around. Austin basically like love bombs him in a way. He is this really cool guy who plays the guitar. He's in a band. He's also a weatherman, and someone whose life is like he says, oh, I don't need a mobile phone. I don't use phones. I live life freely. I'm this guy, and then he instantly sort of falls in love, but becomes friendly with him. He kind of becomes obsessed with the life that he sees Austin having. He wants to be his friend. He wants to befriend him. He wants to go on adventures with him. But then things start to sour between them. I'm going to leave it there because I just don't want to give anything away. And it's really, really funny. There are elements in it that are so beautifully done, and I'm just, why has this film completely passed everyone by? Because I think this is a really good example of original films, original ideas that had the chance of being made, and that never really usually happens. And it's, if you are a screenwriter or a director who's making their first movie, it's very hard to get these ideas through to Hollywood. And I think the director and writer, in this case Andrew DeYoung, has been very lucky to fall in with the A24 guys and with Paul Rudd, because they saw his vision, and his vision is fantastic. And I just think this is going to become a really cult viewing movie. I think, as soon as I said Office Space, you instantly knew what I meant by that kind of genre, not even genre, that kind of there's a feeling about these films. This is about sort of a man who finds himself at a crossroads of his life and has to sort of, but he's not a complete loser, but he's someone who doesn't realize that, he won't change for anyone, but expects people to accept him for what he is. I love this. I laughed I could not stop laughing throughout the whole movie, and it's a perfect movie at 1 hour 40 minutes. Just hits the spot. And really well done. Again, as I said, Friendship, and it's directed by Andrew DeYoung on his directorial debut. And for me, actually, Tim Robinson is a complete revelation here, really fabulous in this. And Kate Mara, you don't see enough of her, but she's kind of this really fed up wife, and Paul Rudd's hilarious. loved it. Actually, I'd rather be reviewing this than reviewing Superman, which everyone loved, and I know I'm going to love Superman. I have yet to see it, and I'm going to see it tomorrow. But at the same time, I'm just saying I'd rather be reviewing something like this that needs as many people to go see it than to review another blockbuster. And yeah, very good movie.
Fair enough. No, I mean, it sounds wonderful. You're exactly right. I love this sort of film. That sort of film that makes me think of films like Lars and the Real Girl, or what's the other one, Jeff Who Lives at Home. I love those films, and this sounds right up my alley. As you say, Office Space. I adore that film. That's such a great film. You sort of judge someone's character by whether they know Office Space and love it. Yeah, wonderful film. It's funny. I love when you're doing these reviews. I love to look up the person and see whether I've seen them in anything before, and it's often new in inverted commas people like this. You realize that you have seen them a few times, but you didn't pick them out at the time, and they've become more famous. So I've seen him. I hadn't realized he's in Scream 6. And he was in a film I saw only recently called The American Pickle, which is
I love that movie.
it's a great comedy, really, truly one of the most bizarre films you'll see, but brilliant. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And also reminded me, I saw a meme this week saying that this is slightly off on a tangent, but Paul Rudd is actually older now than Wilfred Brimley was when he was in Cocoon. And
oh my goodness.
And you can look at them, if people at home want to Google Wilfred Brimley from Cocoon and Paul Rudd, it's staggering. That's how young people look now these days. Paul Rudd's 56, I think.
It feels like people in the past, just once they got to 40, they just gave up, and
That's right,
but nowadays people want to stay healthy for as long as they can and look good for as long as they can. There's nothing wrong with that, Paul Rudd is a great example.
I mean, fair enough, Wilfred Brimley did have a fantastic moustache, but he looked like my granddad from about mid-40s. No, wonderful. I really look forward to seeking that one out. Do you think it's got a wide release or just...
I think I had some numbers somewhere, but let me see. Bear with me just one second.
I would imagine something like that.
It's been released by Paramount, so
okay.
I should think it is getting a wide release. I think it's a good bit of sort of counter sort of distribution when you have like big movies like Superman in the cinema. Not everyone wants to go and see Superman, especially if they've already seen it this weekend. They might want to see something else this weekend, and the only other things available are, as I said, the Smurf animation. If you're an adult, that's not what you want to go and see. So I think that's your other option, and I think it's getting a fairly big release, actually. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So it feels like it's my turn to punish you with my rambling review, and this one has. I looked forward to doing this one until I started planning it, and this is daunting because I'm going top of the shop. I'm going for one of my two favorite films of all time, one of the biggest films of all time. Perhaps the film that defines the word blockbuster. Talking of other blockbusters in cinemas at the moment. So this week, in my classic review, I'm reviewing a film from 1975, based on a novel from 1974. I've dropped a few unsubtle hints already.
I know already.
That's right. This week, I'm reviewing Jaws.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. from the best-selling novel, Jaws. Rated PG. Maybe too intense for younger children.
American thriller film, directed by an unknown director called Steven Spielberg. I don't think you've heard of him. Based on Peter Benchley's book, which came out just the year before. Obviously a hot property, because you get that sometimes, don't you? When a book comes out, sometimes it will be adapted years later, but other times studios will just rush in and it gets an immediate adaptation. Starring, of course, one of my absolute cinema heroes, Roy Scheider, as Martin Brody, the chief of Amity Islands Police, who, with the help of marine biologist Richard Dreyfuss playing Matt Hooper, and a professional shark hunter, Robert Shaw, playing Quint, hunts a man-eating great white shark that attacks beachgoers at a New England summer resort town. So, a little bit of preamble. In a New England beach town of Amity Island, a young woman goes for a late-night ocean swim. An unseen force attacks and pulls her underwater. Her partial remains are found washed up on the beach the next morning. After the coroner concludes it was a shark attack, Amity Police Chief Martin Brody closes the beaches. Mayor Larry Vaughan persuades him to reconsider, fearing the town's summer economy will suffer. The coroner, apparently under pressure, now concurs with the mayor's theory that it was a boating accident. Brody reluctantly accepts their conclusion until young Alex Kintner is killed at a crowded beach. A $3,000 bounty is placed on the shark, causing an amateur shark hunting frenzy. Quint, an eccentric local shark hunter, offers his services for $10,000. Consulting oceanographer Matt Hooper examines the girl's remains, confirming she was killed by an unusually large shark. So that's the setup for what, as I've said, would become the movie that defined the term summer blockbuster. A movie that was so big it overtook all box office records, overtook The Godfather that had come out just a few years before, or just a year before. It was the second theatrical film for Steven Spielberg after his film Sugarland Express, although it owes quite a debt to his first TV movie, the excellent Duel. It stars Roy Scheider as Chief Martin Brody, Robert Shaw as Quint, Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper, Lorraine Gary as Ellen Brody, Murray Hamilton as wonderfully as Mayor Larry Vaughan, Carl Gottlieb as Meadows, Jeffrey Kramer as Deputy Leonard Hendricks, Susan Backline as Chrissy Watkins, Lee Fierro as Mrs. Kintner, and Peter Benchley makes a cameo as a TV reporter on the beach. So I don't know how many times I've seen this film. I mean, it's well up into double figures. It was on yesterday, in fact, on ITV, so I watched it again even though I'd watched it last week to do my planning for this. And it's a film that just draws you in immediately. It starts with distorted noises that I'd always thought were fish sounds or sonar sounds. And it was only really in doing this research that I've realized that it's actually a Spielberg homage to Hitchcock. It's the sounds from the birds lifted and slightly distorted and used at the beginning. But it really works. It seems odd, but it works. It starts like so many sort of teen movies of the 70s and 80s, especially horrors, with a group of teenagers sat around drinking and smoking and having a good time before one couple run off across the dunes to go moonlight swimming. But unlike the sequels, it doesn't hammer home what's going to come. It plays fair with you, and there's sort of no hints as to what's to follow. The girl then runs into the sea. It's an absolutely beautiful shot of the ocean at night with the lights shimmering on the water. We cut to an underwater scene. We're looking up at her swimming away. And suddenly the music, although magical and sort of mysterious, an undertone has crept in, and something is coming, but we're not sure what. Then you cut to the next morning, the girl's body is discovered, and we meet who is to become our hero, Chief Brody, at home with his wife. And it's indicative of the whole film, this opening sequence with Brody, because it's just natural dialogue, really natural performances. His wife mocks his pronunciation of yard, and says he pronounces it in a New York way, and that really again is sort of perfectly demonstrates the way the film builds the characters and the backstories. It's so subtle. There's very little exposition. It just sort of builds naturally. You realize that this is a couple who've moved to the island, reinforced in a scene a few minutes later when his wife, Mrs. Brody, asks one of the locals, "When will I get to become an islander?" To which the reply is, "Never. You're not born on the island. You're never going to be an islander." And you learn that Chief Brody's afraid of water, so he doesn't. He hates it. You know, the worst thing that could happen to him would be to have to go out onto the sea. Unlucky, Martin. Something terrible is coming your way. Um, and it's the same with all of the characters. You just follow Chief Brody through the town, meeting the locals, and all the conversations are incredibly natural. It's one of my favorite films for that 70s naturalism that it was so popular at the time. And it all just feels so real. It's fantastic. Of course, it was shot mostly on location at Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. The first motion picture to be shot on the ocean, which of course caused them huge problems, seasickness, sinking boats, salt getting in the shark. One of the three sharks that were built to provide the antagonist of the picture. I mean, I couldn't believe this when I read this in my research that the producers initially thought, well, why don't we just train a shark? To not have that in film. I thought, yeah, I don't think you know enough about sharks. Maybe a dolphin, but no, you're not training a shark. So yeah, they built three mechanical sharks, full size, or slightly larger than anything that's actually been caught, about 25 feet. One for swimming left, one for swimming right, and one for coming straight on. And as I say, they had issues, but the issues actually led to were much to the benefit of the film, because not only do you get the very famous, everyone knows this, that the Spielberg would shoot around the shark. You would get more shots of the fin, you would get the barrels in place of the shark, but also he said himself that the more the shark failed, the more the shark looked fake to him, the more natural he would make the performances. He would sort of double down on making the film more and more natural, and he really did. It's absolutely wonderful. And speaking of the fin shots, one of my favorite shots in the entire film is when the shark's swimming into the pond. It's in the pond, and you just see that huge dorsal fin and tail fin sliding along past little Sean as he's building his sandcastle on the beach. It's just one of many beautiful shots. It really flies along. It's only about 98 minutes long, the entire film. It's wonderfully structured. Although I feel like it's not a traditional three-act film. It's more like a two-act film, because you get your first half of the film, you set up, you're sort of almost an ensemble piece with all the townspeople interacting, speaking over each other, and then the second half is the pursuit, when the three main characters head out onto the sea to try and deal with this beast that is terrorizing the town. It's stunningly made, really. It's got lots of wonderful wipes, focus stacking. Like you see this in lots of Brian De Palma films as well, where they'll use that wonderful lens where someone in the foreground is in focus and someone in the sort of middle ground is also in focus, and you get the lovely little haze in the middle. You don't get that anymore, of course, with digital photography, which is a real shame. I'm such a nerd. I know I've said this before. One of my favorite transitions is in Lawrence of Arabia, when he blows out the match and then it transitions into the sunset. This has got what's probably my favorite edit in any film, where it cuts between Brody and Hooper having an argument on the boat, and Hooper says to Brody, "You got any better suggestions?" And it cuts to Brody, and you think it's his reaction, but it's actually a transition in time, and then immediately the cage comes up in front of Martin's face. I just love that cut. I think it's so clever that you just do that little time jump. I people like I think it's really kind of lazy. People like to criticize the shark, the effect of the shark, but I think it's fantastic. I think this film is 50 years old, celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, of course. Re-released into cinemas earlier this month, and I think the shark looks wonderful. There's a maybe a couple of frames where you think, yeah, a bit rubbery, but as I say, the film is 50 years old, and in fact, the shark's only on screen for 4 minutes in the entire film, which is quite surprising. Um, Again, heading into nerd territory, it's got another one of my favorite shots in all of cinema. I'm not going to surprise anyone with this one. It's the track and zoom dolly shot when Martin is on the beach and he's on tenterhooks because he knows the shark's out there, but he's not been allowed by the town to tell. He's not been allowed by the mayor to tell anyone and close the beaches. And all of a sudden, the attack happens that he knew was going to happen. Williams plays his part with a piece of sort of score of strings going boop, and it's like your stomach dropping, and the camera just rushes in on Martin's face as the beach pulls out, and obviously it was a move made famous by Hitchcock in Vertigo, uh, and as I've said before, Hitchcock is my favorite director, but Spielberg tops it. This is the use of the track and dolly. It really is. Um, it's like I say, it's masterful filmmaking. It's staggering. This is Spielberg's second film. The blocking is amazing. It's also, as I say, I keep using the word natural, but it is the town meeting where they put the bounty on the shark. The camera tracks around everyone's position beautifully, and then as the camera moves right round, there's Quint just sat at the back of the room. The sound scheme is amazing all the way through. The costumes are wonderful. The colors of the costumes, because one of my bugbears in American production is they often seem to get hypnotized by one palette.
Yeah.
If you watch a lot of sort of 80s American TV, so much brown. Everything's brown. People wearing brown against a brown background. This doesn't have that at all. There's a huge color palette. It's just kind of the same now. You see a lot of films now, it'll be all blue or all green and all this tint, and it's not like that at all. It's beautifully shot on film with a lot of seemingly natural light. As I say, as natural again. I was just going to keep using that word. It's got some. I mean, I could probably quote every line in it, but there are some absolute jewels in there. Obviously, that's some bad hat, Harry. The wonderful line. Um, mayor's line, you yell barracuda, everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark, you've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July. Or probably the line that's my favorite in the entire film, is given by a background character who just says at the town meeting, I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's funny at all. After someone asks what if there was he says, is that bounty going to be in cash or check? Like I say, it's just a fantastic film. It's so well made. I think, again, referring to Hitchcock, because this was always his mantra, I think you could turn the sound off and you could still follow exactly what was going on. It's wonderfully, it's telling stories with pictures. It's genius. The cast are all brilliant. As I say, Scheider as Brody is just an instant hero, but Robert Shaw as Quint is, I think he's the top of the tree. He's absolutely hypnotizing. Again, this is nothing new. The Indianapolis speech is stunning. It's been imitated so many times. I was unfortunate enough to rewatch The Patriot, the Mel Gibson film this week, which is an appalling film.
Congratulations.
And I shouldn't be mentioning it even in the same breath as Jaws, but there is a speech in that where he reveals his backstory to his son about why he's got this reputation as this great warrior, and it is so blatantly ripping off Quint's speech. Even the score is the same. It's such an inspiration, this film, on other filmmakers. It's a masterclass in foreshadowing, all the way, all through that first half. You're building up moments. The best example, of course, being the compressed air tanks, as Brody's flicking through the book early in the film, looking at shark history. Oh, there's a picture of a shark there with a compressed air tank in its mouth, and then later on the boat, he accidentally pulls the wrong rope, and the compressed air tank gets released, and Hooper yells at him, "Martin, you pulled the wrong rope. Those things can explode." And then later on, even more, as the boat starts to sink, Quint grabs for something to hold on to stop himself sliding into the shark, and what rolls onto his fingers? It's a compressed air tank, almost. And that's a kind of nice sort of karmic moment where the film says, Quint, you didn't believe in this modern technology, and this modern technology's come back to bite you in the arse, as the shark will in just a few minutes' time. Uh, there's quite a lot of changes from the book, probably the biggest of which being Quint's demise. There's a plot element removed, which being Hooper's affair with Brody's wife, which makes complete sense because that would derail the film, I think. And the conclusion to Quint's story it's far more cinematic, basically. It works far better. And then the conclusion to the shark story is another moment where the film nods to the duel that I mentioned earlier with it's very similarly shot, and it also uses the same sound effects that he would use in the conclusion of that wonderful pursuit film.
Yeah.
So yeah, just one of the greatest films ever made. I'm not really saying anything shocking there. Of course, I haven't even mentioned John Williams's score. Sublime, simple at times. The two-note theme of the shark. The way it's used kind of inspired horror cinema as well, really. The way that they used the theme to signal the approach of the shark, lull you into that. Oh, I know what's going to happen now, and then fake you out by the shark not appearing, or sometimes the shark appearing without the score.
Yeah.
Just absolutely masterful. And the rest of the score itself is gorgeous. Pieces like Going Out to Sea when they head out on the hunt. So sort of Williams said that he was inspired by pirate films, and you really hear that sort of boys' adventure jollity in it. It's wonderful. So, it won numerous awards. Didn't even get nominated for Best Director, shockingly, which is just mind-boggling. But it did win Best Editing, which it thoroughly deserved, but Best Score, which was thoroughly deserved, and Best Sound Effects as well. Just to round up, on a few numbers, because I was talking about blockbuster numbers earlier, it grossed $21 million in its first 10 days in 1975. It recouped its production costs in 78 days.
Wow.
And it went vastly over budget as well. The studio were terrified of this film. I think it went triple its budget, and it ran over 100 days on its shooting schedule. It sailed past Godfather's record. It became the biggest film of all time. It was the first film to earn $100 million just in the US. It was number one for 14 weeks. It was then surpassed 2 years later by Spielberg's best mate George Lucas with Star Wars, of course. And you've got the brat revolution in Hollywood of Lucas, Spielberg, De Palma, Scorsese, and Coppola. This stat, I've got to read this stat. It blows my mind. Over 67 million people in the US went to see this film when it was released in 1975. That's a third of the country. That's just bonkers, absolutely bonkers. It wasn't all good reviews. Pauline Kael gave it a good review. She said it was the most cheerfully perverse scare movie ever made, with more zest than an early Woody Allen picture and more electricity. It's funny in a Woody Allen sort of way, and I get what she means. She's nailed it there. But Los Angeles critic Charles Champlin disagreed, saying that Jaws is too gruesome for children. It's likely to turn the stomach of the impressionable at any age. Okay, I can see that. It is a coarse-grained and exploitative work which depends on excess for its impact. Assure it's a bore, awkwardly staged and lumpily written. Well, Charles, you don't know what you're talking about. So,
whoever he is, wherever he is.
It had such a huge impact on film and everything. And in the same way as, again, going back to Hitchcock, in the same way that sort of Psycho kept people out of the shower, Jaws kept people out of the sea.
Yeah.
And for me, it kept me out of the bathtub for quite a while. I was even scared of sitting on the toilet. I mean, it just had such a sort of pervasive effect. It was, and even the second one, it of course spawned three sequels to lesser degrees of quality. Jaws 2, I think, is a great sequel. It's not at the same league. Spielberg considered making it himself, but he was busy doing Close Encounters by that point. Another wonderful film. So Jaws 2 is fun, perfectly fine. Jaws 3 is absolutely an abomination. And Jaws 4, I've got a secret love for Jaws 4 because Michael Caine and, I think it's better than 3. But we know we can have a fight about that. So, I mean, it's Jaws. It's inspired so many other films like Alien, and it became synonymous with other films being pitched as Jaws in. So Alien was Jaws in space, much like Die Hard would inspire films to be Die Hard in a lift or Die Hard on a bus or whatever. It's just one of the greatest films ever made. And if somehow you haven't seen it, I mean, I don't know how. As I say, it's on ITV every single weekend. Get out there and see it right away, and hopefully it will never be remade. I really hope that. So the good news is it's a beautiful day. The beaches are open and people are having a wonderful time. So don't be afraid to go back in the water. Get your feet wet. Get in. But just keep an eye out for fins.
I absolutely love Jaws, and I don't know if you saw the Fablemans, the Steven Spielberg autobiography. It's kind of like an autobiography, but semi-autobiographic. When you were talking about the way he filmed the shark and the way he had this knack of inventing things that people had not done before him. When he had, even when he was a teenager trying to make home movies on this like Super 8 or whatever he was using in the 50s, he would sort of utilize the cheapest way of things that he could find to make things look expensive. And I think that's what Spielberg did, both in Duel and in first Jaws movie. And just incredible. The guy is a genius. He's a genius of filmmaking, and I don't say that about many people. I say that about Hitchcock. I say that about Steven Spielberg, and I say that to an extent about Scorsese, but in the writing rather than in the sort of meticulous filmmaking. But Spielberg is a proper savant when it comes to filmmaking. The tricks that he invented. You've seen The Fablemans, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. The tricks that he was inventing even when he was so young about how to like make it, the bit where he was like, he was shooting a western and found a way to make the guns seem like they're firing. Just incredible stuff. And also in all the sort of subtext with the film, the subtext about my dear friend Mark Kermode, the good doctor himself, always says it's a film about Jaws is a film about a shark that is not a film about a shark. And it's true, the story is not really about the shark. The story is about do we believe things, and do we heed when when it's the same thing that started to show when COVID started, and when people, as soon as they thought it was over, they were all out back into cinemas, back into cafes and restaurants, and then the second wave came and took more people. And that's a great example of that ethos of what the idea of Jaws is. I just absolutely I love Spielberg's filmmaking. I love his ideas, and to have had that kind of the intelligence of picking up that book to be made into a film, it's just incredible. 50 years later, it's still impressive, really.
Absolutely. It's amazing that he was their third choice to be director and he had to fight to get it. But I mean, obviously he was a rookie at the time, although he did one of the best Columbo episodes in the entire run. It's funny that I touched on it in my review that he did use the failing of the shark to film other stuff and use symbols to represent the shark. But I think people overplay that to the detriment of giving him enough credit for what he was doing. Because I think a lot of the stuff, like the barrels, he would have done anyway because he's such a genius filmmaker. You know, there was one other shot I should mention where the shark first passes the boat, and you're looking at Brody looking out of the window of the boat, and reflected is the shark gliding past. It's just gorgeous cinematography. Or Quint stood at the end of the boat in the sunset at the end of the first day. Just I could watch that film for the rest of my life and not get bored.
It also has that kind of interaction between people that was really famous in the 70s, of people like, to make it seem natural, is people talking over each other. I
Yes.
really love that. I love that. I think that captured sort of a moment in time where cinema had started to sort of feel less automatic, you know, like less sort of polished, where people spoke naturally to each other. You know, it's like people shouting, like that scene in the you know, when they're shouting at the mayor, and
Yeah.
that felt very natural, because in films up to then, people were just like, this person will get up and say something, and then that next person will get up and say something, but you never hear them talking over each other, because for some reason producers or studios didn't think that made it felt like the viewer or the audience might find it a bit too confusing. While Spielberg, for him, that's not confusing at all. That's how people interact with each other naturally in real life. I find that all very fascinating.
Yeah.
You
When
know,
it takes really skilled, not only directing but acting to be able to do that as well. They were a wonderful cast. You know, really, it kind of feels a bit like the French Connection in that way, that it's so naturalistic. It's wonderful. You know, the only 24 hours, 24 hours. The 24 hours is like a week.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And it's very fast-paced talking as well.
Yeah. No. Oh God, we could talk about Jaws all night long, but we shan't. We shall move. We shall move on. We've all got homes to go to. So why don't we round up this week? We'll get out of your hair quickly because there's not much news this week, so we'll breeze through this and then we'll be done. So in the news this week, Studio Ghibli's Princess Mono. Oh God, I knew I was going to struggle on this. Mononoke is set for 4K re-release this summer, due to hit cinemas in August, 15th of August to be exact. The third Knives Out mystery, Wake Up Dead Man, will open the 69th BFI London Film Festival on the 8th of October, and I expect you'll be there for that, won't you, Linda?
I hope, yeah.
Marvelous.
I hope to be at the opening ceremony. Yes.
Although slightly shockingly, it then transfers to Netflix in December, which is
Well, it is. I mean, the first movie was, oh God, what was it? Universal? No, it wasn't Universal. It was God, what's it called? Something Line.
Oh, New Line.
No, not New Line.
Oh, sorry.
Forget what I said. The first movie was released by a proper studio, and then obviously they got offered a lot of money by Netflix, and Knives Out was Netflix. And, you know, not Knives Out, the
Glass Onion.
Glass Onion was Netflix. So yeah, I think it's kind of sad, and it's a movie that would have lent itself to sort of running in cinemas, and unfortunately, it's the way the film industry finds itself at the moment. If there's a lot of money being offered to a writer director to be able to pay the cast that he wants to have in his movies, then he has to accept that money. And it doesn't matter really. I mean, Glass Onion was very good still, but it still kind of lost that kind of mystique that came with a film being only released in cinema. I always say movies belong in cinema. Always release them in cinema. Always let them be seen by as many people as possible in cinema, and then move them to streaming. I don't believe in direct to streaming. I think it cheapens the movie, it cheapens the work, and it just makes it. It's the death of cinema because of it, and I will always stand against it. And as much as people hate when I say that. I will always stand against movies starting on streaming websites, you know.
It's such a shame, as I say. Yeah, it just seems a waste of all that hard work creating something so wonderful. But yeah, what can we do apart from buy your tickets and get out there to the cinemas? That's what we say. So we've also got a trailer for Kirk Jones's first feature film in a decade, I Swear, a biopic of Tourette's syndrome campaigner John Davidson.
Morning, John. Late again.
Traffic was terrible.
John, I need to take you shopping after football. I'm starting big school in 2 weeks.
Ladies?
Yes, John!
I dream of a lady in body. I tell that she...
Get lost! Look at him!
Fucking rabbit shite!
John!
Hey! Fucking shite!
Can't help it! I was ashamed today!
We're going to get you better. Next to no time.
Johnny D!
It's called Tourette's syndrome. I say things that I shouldn't.
What can you do? Do you want to come in for something to eat, John?
Oh, fuck off, you wanker.
Well, it's nice to meet you too.
Sorry.
If you do anything here that you can't help, you never apologise.
Tommy, this is John. He's come to have a chat about the vacant position.
Right, I'll give you a rundown of the place.
Give me a cock in my hand. For fuck's sakes.
Can you make a decent cup of tea?
Oh, I am good at tea. Are you spunk for milk? Are you okay with the ticks and the swearing?
What ticks? What smell?
We need to get you out, man.
I can see he's off the medication.
I'm so sorry, pal.
I'm so tired.
Hey, I don't think Tourette's is the problem. People not knowing about Tourette's is the problem.
Hey!
Educate them.
You always said I should help people like me. I have Tourette's syndrome, and it makes me tick. Fuck you!
That young man over there would not harm a fly, and he makes a damn fine cup of tea.
Spunk for milk.
Spunk for milk.
Starring Robert Aramayo, I believe is his name, who you might know, or I certainly know, from Game of Thrones and The Rings of Power. He's a really wonderful actor. This looks like a huge change of direction for him. A very interesting film. That's due for release on the 10th of October. And final bit of news I teased earlier, going back to the blockbuster, Superman, which we've already revealed is top of the UK box office, has taken $217 globally in its opening weekend, which is just a staggering number.
Fabulous. Good news for cinema. Good news for for DC, who needed a hit really. And you know, you don't get James Gunn and then not get a hit. You know, this man knows his superheroes inside out. It genuinely Disney's loss. You know, Marvel's loss is DC's gain, and it was always going to be that way. He's got that kind of sixth sense about what makes a good story, and yeah, good luck to him. You know, fabulous. And again, I as I say, I haven't seen the movie yet, and I just know for a fact that I'm going to love it regardless. So
another one, as with Jurassic, we talked about earlier, which came out to sort of one good review for every bad review. Yeah, you know, it's very sort of mixed. And obviously, you know, there's a small immature part of me that delights in the fact that it's such a huge success because it crushes all those sad little Snyder boys who couldn't get past it.
Agree. Agree, 100%. Yeah.
And so that's made it the biggest solo Superman film opening ever. And as you said, looks good for DC because they've already finished filming Supergirl. Clayface is well on its way. And yeah, it's really put the pressure on MCU's Fantastic Four, which comes out this month as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that does. So, yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Meet Me in the Foyer. Time now for Linda and I to paddle back to shore. But the tide is with us, so we should make it to land again soon. Linda's just back from holiday. I'm off on holiday myself next week. We might squeeze in one more show, but if not, just, and anyone asks where we are, just tell them we've gone fishing. Yeah, just keep chumming the waters and you'll see us resurface again soon with more reviews, news and chat. Until then, thank you for watching and listening. Thank you, Linda, for returning with more brilliant reviews as always.
Thank you very much. And
great to see you again.
Thank you so much. And I will see you very soon, hopefully.
We shall be back. Don't be afraid to go in the water.
Meet me in the foyer.